Every game of Quorsum begins by selecting 16 tiles at random and laying them in a 4x4 grid. Meanwhile, the two players each roll a die. The higher roll may choose either to select the starting positions of the pawns, or to let his opponent do that, and to take the first turn of the game instead. Here you see the player placing each of the 4 pawns in a corner according to his choice. The goal of the game is simply to get each pawn across the board to the opposite tile, its home tile. On any given turn, a player has 4 dice to use in either of 2 ways. The first way is called trolling, and all trolling is flipping over any vacant tile on the board, as long as it hasn't just been flipped by the opponent in the turn before. In this case, we're trying to troll the tile marked 4. We'll use 3 of our dice to try to troll it, and the trolling will succeed as long as one of those dice is 4 or greater, since 4 was on the tile. In this case, the 6 that we rolled does the trick, and so we successfully trolled the 4. The other of the 2 actions is moving. Moving is simply taking your pawn and moving it 1 tile, up, down, left, or right, and only to a tile that's vacant and the same color as the tile the pawn is currently on. That's why trolling is so important. Now once you move, you can use any dice that were high enough to continue moving to another adjacent tile. And you can keep this going until you're out of dice, or you can't move, or you don't want to anymore. Let's take a look here at the light colored pawn. Now as we said, the pawn normally can move to any of these 4 tiles, but in this case, this tile is occupied by a pawn, so it's off limits. These 2 tiles are the wrong color, so the only legal move is to this 4. Let's give it a shot. We'll use all 4 dice to try to move the pawn over to the 4. Just as for trolling, the move will succeed as long as one of those dice is 4 or greater. In this case, we succeeded with 3 of the dice. That one is now out of the mix, but the move has succeeded, and the player can continue his movement this turn, using those 3 dice that succeeded. We'll roll those 3 dice and see what happens. We're moving to a 3, so they need to be 3 or greater, and 2 of the dice succeeded. One of them did not. The pawn moves forward, and he can continue using those 2 dice to try to move to the 2. They're both 2 or greater, so that move also succeeds. And finally, he'll try to bring a pawn home to the 6. One of these would have to be a 6, and it's not, so the move fails and the turn is over. Now, let's take a look at a normal turn from start to finish. We'll say it's Dark's turn to play. He has a lot of options here. He might try to troll this 3, and if it's important enough, he could use all 4 dice to try to troll it, or all 4 dice to move one of his pawns, or more likely, he'll try to split his dice for several different actions. He could use 2 and 2. He could use 3 and 1. He could even use each of the 4 for different reasons. Maybe trolling the 3, trolling that 4, moving both pawns. Not likely to succeed, but all of these combinations are legal. In this case, it looks like he's using 1 die to troll that corner 3, and the remaining 3 dice to move his pawn nearest to us. Let's see how the trolling goes. Fails because that die was not 3 or greater. We'll see how the remaining 3 dice work for the movement. He needs 5 or more on one of these dice, and he gets it with 1. So the move succeeded. He can use that 1 die to keep moving, and he chooses 2. He needs 3 or more, and that's the end of the turn. Not a very successful one. As we said before, the goal of Quorsum is to bring both of your pawns home, and as soon as you do this, you win the game. Now, not every Quorsum game ends like this. Some end by what's called deadlock. As soon as 6 turns go by without any pawn getting closer to home during that time, the game is immediately over. Now, this can happen either on purpose or just due to low rolls. Players are able to keep track of the moves that go by using the deadlock cube with the Quorsum set, often known as the Scot. When the Scot hits 6, the game is immediately over. When this happens, the player with the pawn closest to home wins the game. If there's a tie, look at the second closest pawn, and if that's a tie, the game is a rare draw. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your first game of Quorsum.